Whether you're trying to build a water feature in your flamingo habitat, or maybe a nice little lake for your pronghorn antelope and bison to enjoy, or if you're trying to build a really big underwater viewing gallery for your penguin habitat, you're going to need to learn how to use all of the sculpting tools. I know for me, this whole terrain tab was a little bit intimidating when I first started. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through how to use all these different tools. And before you know it, you'll be making incredible habitats with them. Before I go through the different tools themselves, I want to show you what's going on over here in settings. So the first one is intensity. Intensity has a slider from 10% all the way up to 100%. I tend to start with it around 40 or 50%, and then I can slide it up or I can slide it down depending on the effect that I'm getting. Same thing with size. Again, it can go all the way down from 1 meter in diameter all the way up to 20. And you may think, oh, when would I ever use 20? But actually, if you're trying to make really major terraforming changes, the bigger sizes can be useful. I usually start with about 4, 5, and then I can change it from there. Move this back down to 50. Cool. All right, scenery lock. Scenery lock means, so with scenery lock turned off, I can manipulate the land around these rocks, and it's still going to manipulate it. If I turn, hold on, let me just change this a little bit. Bring this out. Okay. All right. Now, if I turn scenery lock on, see how it moves around those rocks that are already placed? Even though I have it right and I'm clicking right under the rock, it's not going to change it. It's going to move around those rocks, right? With scenery lock off, and do the same thing. See, it goes right over those rocks that I placed. Surface lock just means that the changes I make are going to be on the surface of the map. For paint, I like to use selected. So right now, I've got the soil selected. So what that means then is any change I make, it's going to paint it with soil, right? Like that. I don't have any barriers up right now, but if I did, they would be highlighted while I'm using the terrain tools. And the same thing with paths would be highlighted if I had any paths nearby on this map right now, which I don't. Okay, so now let's look at the tools themselves. The first tool you have is pull. It does pretty much what it says it does. It pulls the terrain up. If I just increase the intensity here, it's going to do the same thing, just much faster, much more dramatic. Push does the opposite of pull. It pushes the terrain in, like that. Okay. Flatten to foundation. So foundation, you can see here, it means what's the flat surface nearby. So if I were to come in here and start to flatten, it's going to eat away at what I already did. And I can also cover up that hole I just made just by flattening it to the foundation, flattening it to the surface, like that. Okay. Flatten to surface is a little bit different. I can flatten an area like this. See what I did there? So I can make my surface whatever I'm touching, and I can flatten out that terrain on that surface like that. Okay. Chisel. I like to think of chisel more as like push, because that's essentially what it does, is it sort of pushes the terrain away from you, right? So if I go right here and I chisel, I'm sort of pushing it away in the direction that I move the mouse. Smooth. Smooth pretty much does what it says. It takes those jagged edges and it's going to smooth them out and sort of blend them together. So this is really useful. I'll show you in a second the terrain stamp tool, and it leaves jagged edges. The smooth tool is really nice for smoothing that out. The roughen tool just sort of roughens the terrain like that. Right now it's pretty dramatic because I have the intensity way up, but if I put it down more to like 50%, you can just see the difference. Right. So that's what 100% looks like. This is what 50% looks like for roughen. This is nice if you're building a habitat and the flat map just makes it look sort of boring and you want to make it a bit more interesting. Flatten to terrace is a tool. I gotta be honest, I basically never use it, but the way it works is you can create different terrace levels, right? And then it's gonna flatten out around it to help you build your terraces. Honestly, I don't really ever have a reason to use it. Okay, now, the terrain stamp tool, this is one I use all the time. And just like I did with the sculpting tools, let's look at the settings first. So the first one's very important. The plus button means when you click, it's going to build in an upward direction. The subtract means you're going to dig a hole, right? It goes downward with the terrain stamp. Height. Well, what do you think height does? Height adjusts the height up and down. You make it all the way up to 20 meters, all the way down to 4. And then the width makes it bigger or smaller in that direction. Terrain stamp tool is absolutely one of the first tools I'm using when I'm building something like an underwater viewing gallery. I'll put in the terrain first, like that. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to build like a glass barrier. Let's see, where's the glass? Glass, there it is. I'm going to build a glass barrier like so. And I'm going to build it, build it right into my big block of terrain. Gotta turn on flat top. There we go. Like that. And then later on, sorry, this is not this is not an underwater viewing gallery tutorial, so I'm just kind of doing it quick and dirty here for demonstration purposes. I'm not really trying to make a beautiful underwater barrier, but that would be how you would start that process. Is you put it into the terrain, and now I can fill this up with water, right? And at some point, I can create an underwater viewing gallery that way. So the point I'm trying to make is if you're building an underwater viewing gallery, the first thing you're going to start with is the terrain stamp tool and build the higher part, the land part where the animals will be, and then you can put the barriers in around it. The other way the terrain stamp tool is very useful is if you're building, let's say like a lake or a river. It is very inefficient to do it this way. I much prefer to start with something like this. So you dig a big hole in the ground. Then you can go into flatten to foundation, put it inside the hole you just made, and now I can shape it outward like this into a shape I'm happier with. And then I can come in with push like that. And I can come in with smooth, get rid of some of these edges, and create a nice little body of water like that. Like there. That looks pretty good. So again, the way I did that, stamp tool, make sure it's on going down. Figure out how deep you want it to be. Keep in mind that certain animals need a certain depth for them to be able to do their diving animations. So dig it into the depth that you want it to be. Then go back, use flatten to foundation, move the terrain out into whatever size you want, and then use smooth to smooth down the edges. And there you have it. Okay, that's basically it. These different terraforming tools gave me a lot of headaches when I was first learning how to use them. But once you've played around with them a little bit and you understand the basics, it's really not that hard to use it. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I'll see you next time.